What is going on, guys? Sonic and the Bean Show here. Today we're looking at the brand new Jakks specific Wave 17 Neo Metal Sonic figure. Pretty excited to finally get a hold of this guy. I think it's been about 4 months since I reviewed the last wave. That one had Metal Sonic 3.0 and Heavy King. But for this wave, I was only getting Metal Sonic. I didn't really bother with the Classic Sonic. I'll probably get him at some point, maybe if he's on sale. But in this review, we are just going to focus on the Neo Metal Sonic figure. So, the packaging is of course standard as the regular 4-inch Sonic figures. You can see the figure and then the accessory right there. The logos, Neo Metal Sonic name right there. And then here is the back of the packaging, as you can see. So of course we got our description here to the side. 14 points of articulation. Got some images here of the figure, and then these are the other figures that's going to be in this wave. So Classic Sonic, Rouge, and Silver. Okay, so here's the figure out of the packaging right here. This is a really great figure. I'm so happy that the eyes here are actually centered because, you know, remember when we first seen the images, they were like misprinted. Luckily, I didn't get that here with mine. Mine seem pretty okay right here, so I'm happy about that. But another thing that's really impressive here is, you know, like I said, I think what they did here, like how crazy the design is for Neo Metal Sonic. What they did here for still keeping it at the $10 price point, I think they did a really nice job here. It's not going to have, you know, everything. I don't expect it to be like perfect or anything. But I think what they did here, you know, starting out with the head sculpt, you know, of course the dress right here, you know, around his waist, and, you know, just the overall design right here for just keeping it at that price point still. They did a pretty good job. And then of course it has 14 points of articulation. So having that on top of that, like, I don't know, man. It's pretty impressive what they did here, so I'm really liking it so far. So here's just a close-up here on the face, and yeah, you can see that the white paint here to the side of the eyes, it doesn't really look too bad here. I would say, like, at least to the torso, you know, you can see I got like some black paint right there, like one there, and then just there, and then just to the back I got some yellow. Everything else really doesn't seem too bad. I do got like some damage here with the plastic, and then the back of the head doesn't really show much else. But, you know, here's just like the overall like dress piece right here to the waist, which I think it's actually glued on to the waist right here. I'm not sure because it doesn't really feel like a separate piece. I mean, there's a ball peg here, but I don't think there's a way you can like take this off. I do think it is actually glued onto the waist right there. But you can see the way how this looks, and this actually doesn't look too bad. Of course it's gonna be like a hard plastic. It's not as hard to where it's gonna like just be kind of like, you know, a sort of statue here. Like you can, like, you know, you can see how I can just like fold it just like that. But I would say the back is where you can't really do too much. You can kind of move it just a little bit. I'm sure maybe if you heat it up a little bit and kind of put it to wherever position you want, you can probably move it up just a little bit. But it's not terrible. You can see like it does have a little bit of like, you know, they did a little bit of motion here with the dress. Like this one's a little bit far forward. This one's like a little bit off to the side, but it's like a little bit back. And the figure does actually stand fine on its own. You can see like, you know, this thing is barely even touching the ground, because even if I, you know, put the figure like that, like, you know, now it's not even touching the ground because the figure is actually fine. Like it does actually like support its own self right there. So yeah, like it's actually okay. So the figure is actually fine. I don't think you're gonna have any issues with the figure falling over, unless like maybe the hips is really loose. But mine is actually okay right here, and you can still see a little bit of the design going on here with the legs. I can't really show the, or maybe I can show the back of the legs just a little bit, but because of this being in the way right here and it being pretty dark, it's a little hard to see. But yeah, you still got the designs going on here, and the palm here, you can see it's painted black right here. I think he's just missing the lines between his fingers right here that he'll have, you know, like the lines he'll have. But, you know, he's like clenching his fist, so there's that. I almost forgot to mention, but he does have peg holes at the bottom of his feet, if you want to know about that. But yeah, overall, yeah, I really do like this guy. This is a really cool Neo Metal Sonic figure. It's just so crazy to really have an official one. For the accessories, you get like this right here. It's kind of, it almost looks like it's supposed to be like the lightning that he does before he's you know, getting ready to transform. I'm assuming that's what this is supposed to be. That's why they gave you this. So yeah, you get that. I'm not really gonna be using it or like displaying them with it, honestly. Maybe if the lightning was like a little bit longer or so, but I guess you could always just use some sort of lightning effect from another figure, really. But you know, you get this option right here, so you have that, and you know, of course, that's an open hand right there. And you can only fit it onto this hand though. This one, you know, there's no hole between there. It's just this hand you can only throw it onto. So yeah, that is the accessories. Now for the articulation. So the head is just on a standard ball peg, you know, just a standard ball peg. You can't really have them like look up or down, since it will tend to just go back in place, but you do get a rotation. As you can see, because of this connecting onto the shoulder pads, you can only just kind of move his head like that, unless you really want to fudge it in. But if you move this over, like this long thing right here, if you move this over that, and then you put, you know, this over the shoulder, you can actually have him look over his shoulder like that, which is pretty cool. You know, you just have to like kind of maneuver the way how the head sculpt is right here. So yeah, that's something you can do. So let me just see if I can just kind of put this back, you know. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, and it's just on a ball peg, so you know, it's fine right there. For the shoulders, the arms do move back and forth. I didn't even realize there was a hinge to the shoulder. It's a little hard to kind of see it. They did a pretty good job trying to like hide it right there. It may not seem that great the way how I'm moving it. That's because it's coming in contact with, you know, the head right here. But when you cross the arm, as you can see, like it's actually not so bad. Like you can actually cross the arms. If I can move this a little bit, as you can see, like he can actually cross his arm just a little bit right there, so it's not too bad. Unfortunately, he doesn't have any swivel going on with the bicep or the elbows. So yeah, there's really no swivel with the bicep or even with the elbows, because there is a hinge at the elbows and the range is actually really good, but you don't get a swivel out of that. No swivel anywhere. You can rotate this and you can rotate the wrist, but unfortunately no swivel going on with the elbows or the bicep right there. So yeah, again, there is a hinge to the shoulder right there. For the waist right here, there is a ball peg, just a single ball peg going on up here, but you are just going to get a standard rotation. And again, I kind of wish there was a way that you can move, you know, this whole piece a little bit, so if you want to kick out to the side or so. But I really think this is actually just glued on to the waist right here. I don't think there's a way that you can really like move this at all. So yeah, you have that. But for the hips, surprisingly, they're actually really good. You can kick up high just about there, which I think is actually okay. You know, I think this is actually fine. But you know, of course, kicking back, you know, this is going to be in the way, so you're not really going to be able to do much with that. We do have knee articulation, so we do have a knee joint, single jointed knee. You get right there. I don't know if there's going to be much use for that, but knee joints is there. You can actually kick out to the side, but you know, again, that's just going to hinder that really. And then for the ankles, the ankles are actually just on a ball peg, so you can just pretty much just move them all the way around if you want to, wherever you want. Go far forward, you know, far back, you know, and then you can rotate the ankles. Not sure if I mentioned this, but when you do bend at the knees, you can also rotate that as well. So yeah, I don't know if I said that, but yeah, you can rotate the knees. Alright, now let's jump into some comparisons. So here is Neo Metal Sonic next to Sonic and Dr. Eggman, and he's actually pretty tall here. I didn't think he was really going to be this tall right here, because seeing him compared to like Sonic and Eggman, like it's kind of funny to see right here. I just was not expecting that at all. And I'll just take Sonic out the way, but here is just, you know, just a regular Metal Sonic figure. Like if I put these two, you know, like this, like his eyes, it's like to his forehead. So like, yeah, Neo Metal Sonic is a whole lot taller right here. And even if this Eggman is too short, you know, I guess we'll just pretend like this is Eggman. But like if you want to use the Mr. Dr. Eggman figure, you know, from the Sonic Prime line, you know, this probably looks a lot better, but yeah, like he definitely has some size to him. And then you know, I'll just throw in just Supersonic right here if you want to see how that is. Here's a comparison next to the other 4-inch Metal Sonic figures. So we have the Metal Sonic 3.0, the original one, and then we have the Jakks Gold one over here. Here's another comparison next to Chaos, Infinite, and Mephiles. And then I'll just kind of take this off if you want to see how that is. But that is where Mephiles would stand next to Neo Metal Sonic. So there you go. Here's how the figure looks next to the Jazzwares figures, and this actually doesn't look too bad. I think you can still fudge these in if you really want to mess around and play with these. But yeah, in my opinion, I think these actually look okay. I think you can still mess around with the Jazzwares figures with this Neo Metal Sonic figure. Here is one last comparison right here. You can see what I was trying to do here. I was trying to fit every team here in one shot right here, and I think it actually turned out pretty good. You can barely see SBO right there, but I actually like this. I like the way how this looks so far. This is very unreal to see how far we've came, man. But yeah, this looks really nice. I might actually be able to throw some more figures here, maybe a little bit like that. Put the camera here, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good to me right there. Yeah, I kind of like this. I think this actually looks pretty nice. So alright, so that is going to wrap it up here on the Jakks specific Wave 17 Neo Metal Sonic figure. I really do like this one. I can definitely say this will be one of my favorite Sonic figures that they put out. Maybe even just one of my favorite Sonic figures in general. Not just saying that because I've always liked Neo Metal Sonic or always wanted this in action figure form, but because I think they did a pretty decent job on the sculpt. The paint job is fine in some areas. The articulation is solid. You'll get him in some basic poses since the dress is going to limit that with the legs, and he doesn't have a bicep or elbow swivel. But he is able to scale pretty well with a lot of other Sonic figures, and he can stand pretty well on his own too. So there's definitely some limitations with this figure, but again, for just $10, I'd say it's acceptable. This is definitely one of their better figures for sure. So if you like Metal Sonic or Sonic Heroes, then I'd say pick it up. It is currently hitting Target stores, but let me know what are your guys' thoughts on this in the comments down below. As always, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Until then, take care, my friends.